Hi, welcome to today's episode of Between Friends. I'm Eileen Roche, co-founder of Dime, and I'm so grateful that you joined me today. You know, if you've been following us and you're on our notification, a recipient of our notification from either Facebook or YouTube when we're going live, you probably saw a different promo earlier in the week. And we did have a different program planned with my friend Linda Johnston, who was going to show us some fantastic techniques for turning traditional applique methods into today's digital version, and it's fast and gorgeous results. But she was not available today. We had a little mix up, so she'll be joining us in the future. So look forward to that. But I know that many of you are wondering, well, what are we going to learn? Well, one of the things I'm always kind of working on is some kind of quilt project. And like many of you, and right now it's the season to get those smaller projects done, whether they're small or medium or even large. If it's somebody who's on your gift list and you have a quilt that you have to get quilted, we'll have some great tips for you today on how to see your quilting before you even take a stitch. And if you're like me, maybe you have that fear, that, kind of worrisome moment where you land that first embroidery design, or you stitch it in the hoop on that quilt that you've spent so much time piecing. And it's a moment of, fear. So we're going to take all that away. And I really don't experience that fear anymore because I have confidence by the time I get to the machine of what my quilting is going to look like. And it's overwhelming to many people. So we're going to go ahead and break it down. I will share with you today that the product that is bringing today's program to you is our print and stick target template paper. And, if you're familiar with this and you use it, please, in the comments, let us know that you're a user. I know I use it all the time, and I have some great tips for you on how to get the most out of every sheet. I'm even going to show you how you can get several designs on one page, because I know people ask for that technique all the time. So why don't we go ahead and get started, right? So first thing I want to show you, I'm going to flip ahead really quick here and just talk about the points to consider when you're planning your quilting. Number one, what's the theme of the quilt? Number two, the scale and density of the designs. And number three is the fabric. Because believe it or not, it's really those three things that are going to help you select your quilting designs. There are thousands of quilting designs out there. And if you're talented, you can digitize your own. But often, even with that, where do you start, right? So take a look at the project that you are working on. That should be your first clue as to what type of design or what style you would select. I'm going to be working on a Christmas table runner today. So I opted, of course, for only quilting designs that, kind of call out to Christmas lights, snowflakes, and those kinds of designs. But maybe it's a child's quilt, or, a baby quilt. So you would maybe some rattles or hands and feet prints, that kind of thing. There's all options out there for you. Now, when I talk about scale and density, that's a little bit different of when we talk about density for embroidery designs, when we're talking about fill and how close are all those stitches. Well, scale and density for quilting designs are how much space is between the running stitches, the lines of running stitches, right? Because the closer those lines are, then the stiffer or the flatter quilt will be, right? The flatter the quilt will turn out to be, because those stitches hold down the batting and all that loft and make it flat. So maybe you would prefer it to have, more puffy, very lightweight, very shapeable and fluid. So then you're going to want to have embroidery quilting designs that have a lot of open space, and you even space them further apart. Scale is the size of the embroidery designs. A couple of things to take into consideration there is the size of your hoop. You're going to be limited by that. And never, I think we talked about this last week, never select a quilting design specifically that is going to fill your entire hoop, because that's going to make placement a struggle. Every hooping, you're going to have to really nail that fabric in the center of the hoop so that you can stitch that design because it's going to fill the hoop. Now, if you are using a design that's just an inch smaller in all directions, well, that's a lot of wiggle room. So you'll be able to advance that fabric, drop that top frame back in place rather quickly, and stitch the next design. And then the fabric. Okay, so, solid fabrics reveal the quilting and print fabric conceals the quilting. So if you are in love with intricate feather designs that are just gorgeous to look at, don't waste your time stitching them on printed, busy fabric. Nobody's ever going to see them. They really show very well on a solid fabric. And so if you're doing edge to edge and you have a lot of prints in your quilt, then that's fine. That's the perfect application for, light and airy designs with swirls and so forth that aren't really all that intricate. So those are the 3 points. Now we're going to take a moment and spend a couple minutes in software. So let's do that first. Okay, so, I'm sorry. Okay, and I want to make sure I'm on the right page of my software. So let's see. I drew this quilt in my software. Now, we have all kinds of quilting programs in our offering of Dime software. And I drew this in probably Perfect Embroidery Pro. I did the star out of my block piecer. But, even if you can just sketch, you can do something like this. You could also take a photograph of your quilt, your finished quilt, and load that into the software as a backdrop. So this is a table runner that measures, I think it's like 16 inches in height and about 40, maybe 50 inches long, something like that. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can take a look. And I am going to just show you how I kind of play around. So I am going down to, I have hidden all of the embroidery designs that I actually have on this page. So if you look at that properties box on the color sequence on the right hand side, you'll see there's lots of options there, but there's a slash in the eyeball, and that means it's hidden so that you can't see it. And it's also a good way to work. Just bring in one thing at a time and then hit that eyeball so that you don't have to be confused with all the busyness. So let's go ahead and show one. Okay, so this is just kind of a swirly design. It's not real spectacular, but it would fill a border quite well, right? And I can repeat that multiple times, or I could select something a little bit more festive, like some holly. Now, this holly is attractive, but look at it. It's a standalone design. Let me zoom in on that so you can get a better look. It completely is enclosed. It doesn't have a connecting thread that's going to connect to the next design. So here, I'll go ahead and let me select all of that and group it, and then copy and paste, and I'll move it. And just so you can see what it would look like if it was a whole continuous line. It's not truly going to be continuous, right? I would just space it evenly apart. It's not horrible. If I was going to use that, I think I would mirror image every other one, just so that we have a little bit of a curve going on to kind of carry the eye across the border. So let's go ahead and move that up. And then I'll take this one and copy and paste this so you can see how that would connect. And I'm zooming in and out so that you can get a better look. That, it is pleasing, right? And boy, that's going to stitch up really quick, right? It's just a curve, 2 swirls, another curve, 2 more swirls, and then the tail connects to the next one. So, again, that's a possibility. And color here, I'm just using whatever contrasting color is handy. If it's already green, great. If it's blue, I don't care. I just want to see the design. So that's why it's in those colors. I may decide to stitch it in white on my white fabric. And that's a decision I can make at the machine. If I do that here in the software, it won't be that visible and it won't really give me that good of an idea as to what it's going to look like. Okay, so let's see what other designs I have here. Let's see what this, here's Christmas lights. So now this is already I've repeated this several times, so let me go ahead and grab the actual design. So there is our single design. So it's 3 Christmas lights, has 2 loops in between, and ends with 2 loops, because that will connect just perfectly with the next set of, the next repeat. And you can see it carries all the way across the quilt. That's the one that I'm definitely going to go with. I like that. I think it looks really nice. Now, my challenge is, what am I going to do on this area, right? It's very linear, right? So that means if I choose any embroidery designs that have straight lines in a horizontal pattern, there's a really good chance that I'm not going to be absolutely parallel to those seams. And how do I know that? Because I've made a lot of quilts and I've just learned through the years, it is possible to align it perfectly, but it's tedious. And I might have, 12, 20 hoopings, 30, depending on how big your quilt is, and you might get tired of that tedious task. So look for something a little different, right? Something that would be appealing, but attractive. So let's go ahead and see where I have some snowflakes that I have here. Okay, there we go. Now look at these pretty snowflakes. Now they're yellow. So, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I'm going to make them black right now just so that we can really see them. And, it's pretty. I think maybe I would mirror image that so that the tail starts kind of at the edge of the quilt. And then I'll do a copy and a paste. And then I'll pull down that next repeat. And I could continue in this fashion. I could offset it. I have lots of options here. In this set of embroidery designs, the snowflake, there is a single snowflake that I could use to place right here in this area and maybe also up in this area to kind of fill that area in. Now, this is a little open for my taste in this space. But I like that pretty snowflake. I think it's really attractive, so I'm going to go with it. If after I finish the quilting with my embroidery machine, I could go back in with a walking foot and do some stitching in the ditch, like at this border, or even do a little bit of swirls, by hand in this area. That's entirely up to you. Okay, so now let's take a look at this star, and we do have some options there. I might have to do a little running around my computer to see where the others are. Let's see. Okay, so here we have an arrow that I have created. So I'm going to copy this and take it back over into the snowflake. Just bear with me a minute. I'm going to ungroup that because I got a little trick to show you later on. So let's take this arrow and talk about strong geometric lines. Well, I do kind of like those just to accent that star. Just one here, copy, paste, mirror image, and pop that over on the other side. It's going to fill in really nicely, right? And then we just need to decorate this area. So let's go ahead and pull down the software just for a moment, if we could. And let's see if there's any questions. Somebody is talking about their cold. Yeah, I am fighting a cold terribly. In fact, we have a slide that says oops, technical difficulties. And just in case I go under, but we'll see. Okay, so I have to go and locate this, my center star. I had it right on the screen, but now there we go. There's our center star and then our block. So that you can take a look at how I wound up decorating the star. All right. Okay, so we have these elements, and we're going to take them over to the snowflake, and I'll paste them here. And all right, so I'll rotate that, and that's going to fit in the corner. I kind of like that. And we'll rotate that one in that instance. There we go. It's going to fill in really nicely. And of course, I would repeat this and we'll mirror that for the other corner. And then we'll take all three elements, copy, paste, mirror image vertically, and take it down to the bottom. Okay, and there we have that. Okay, next up, I need to do my star block for the center, my snowflake center. So let's go ahead and grab that. Just do a control copy and back, and you can see that right in the center. And I'm going to make that white. So I think we're really getting something going here. By the time this is done, in software, it looks a little crazy, right? Because we got all these different colors going on. And, I don't really like it on screen, but I know when I print it out on those print and stick target templates, it's going to give me a clearer vision. And when I place it on the table runner, then I'll really know, right? So let's see what questions we have. And then I'm going to show you some tips on how to, let's see. Well, in lots of our software programs, you have the ability to add individual crosshairs to embroidery designs. But in Embroidery Toolshed Plus, which is not our free program, it's our paid program, you can take the crosshair that we provide to all of you. You are able to go to our website, dzgns.com, and at the download page, you'll find this crosshair. It comes in several sizes for your snap hoop monster. And we always tell you that this is how you apply the rulers on your snap hoop monster. Well, that crosshair is a great little workaround for creating multiple designs on one sheet of print and stick target template paper. So here we have our crosshair, and I'm going to go over to the light border design, and I'll select that, and I'll do copy, and I'm going back to the crosshair, and I'll do paste. Okay, and at this moment in time, I'm going to select everything and hit, with a right mouse click on the toolbar, I'll hit center origin. So now I know everything is centered on the page exactly where it should be. This is very important. Now go to right click and group. And now when you go to move it, it moves as one. Now you're not going to have an arrowhead on it, but that's okay. So now I can just take that and I control, copy, paste. Now I have two groups. And now look at my page. My size is 7.61. So I'm going to go ahead and print, copy and paste one more. And, I don't have paper that big, but I want to show you this workaround. So an easy way to decide or determine how many designs are going to fit on that print and stick target template paper is to create a hoop that's paper size. So come on, follow with me. You're going to click on hoop, and you'll click on new, and in there you can put 8.5 by 11, or you could use, if you know your margins. I'm going to be on the safe side and do 7.5 and 10 inches. Oh, you can't see the pop-up menu. Okay, well, that's pretty important. So, Gloria, if you would take me down, and then I'll just reshare, okay? Bear with me 1 second, folks. I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to share again. And I hate what shows when I do this, but oh well. Okay, well, we're already there, so. Okay, there we go. All right, so here's my pop-up window. I'm going to go, let's just start that all over again. I'm going to click on the hoop, right? And in this window, you're going to have the ability to create a new size, custom size hoop. So you could do 8.5 by 11, or, go ahead and put your margins in there. I'm going to be generous and say 7.5 by 10. And instead of calling it my hoop, I'll just call it paper. Why not? And then say, okay, and okay again. Now I can see, this one's definitely not going to fit, but these two they're going to fit. And I can even, yeah, they're going to be fine. Now, they're a little beyond, but remember my page that I made right here was 10 inches. And really that's a whole inch of margin. That's probably too much. But okay, it doesn't matter. We could resize that just a little bit to get it in to that space. And then when we go to File, Print Preview, you'll see in my settings, I do not have a check mark in crosshair because I've already placed crosshairs on my designs. But I'll go ahead and put a check mark in there so you can see what it would look like. So now you see you have this giant crosshair, and then you have the crosshairs on each individual template. I mean, each individual design. That can get a little confusing, right? So just go back into your settings, turn off crosshair, and say okay. And now I'm ready to print that on print and stick target template paper. So, all right, you just hit print. Now, we've already done that. So let's go over to the overhead cam, and I'll show you. I have already cut that out, but I have another one that I'm going to show you. So here's my center, or my single swirl. So when it comes out of the printer, you have to separate it from the protective paper. Okay, so the first thing I do is I flip it over and I just do a big X or just a line. So I know, oh, that's the wrong side, because later on when I want to store this, I only want to store it on the correct side, which is the shiny side. I do not want to stick it on the back. So I peel it off like this. I leave part of the protective paper in place, and then with a rotary cutter and on a mat, I just kind of go around, and then I peel this off. And I can save it and use it for other things, or that scrap, or, toss it. And now I do the same thing here. I try not to have the whole piece down on the cutting mat. I try to have a section of the template raised off of the cutting mat, because it can be hard to get that off of the cutting mat, right? It's really sticky. It's great stuff. Okay, so I tore off my arrow. No problem with that. I know I can see the little tail of it, so I know where it goes. But you can write on these. So you can write in an arrow if you don't already have one. You can write in the name if you don't have it in the, in the image, and then you know what it's for. Maybe you would, place border or whatever your directions need to be to remind yourself what you're going to do. I love this stuff. It is fabulous, and you can use it over and over and over again, and they last a really long time. Now, in your printer settings, you do have to set it for high quality, photo quality, and that will make sure that it doesn't smear. If it's not set on high photo quality, it will smear. So keep that in mind. We learned the hard way. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at my table runner, which is right here. I've already stitched one design. So much fun. So here you can see I selected the green thread for my border. Now, normally I wouldn't start on the border. I would probably do the custom quilting on the star first, but I thought it would be more fun to show you connecting designs on the machine with edge to edge than just landing them, because it's kind of the same concept, but a little different. All right, so, but once these are printed out, you can play with them. You can get them in position so you have a really good idea of how they're going to look on the quilt. And like now I have 3 repeats. I can see that they're going to just flow beautifully. I guess you're not really seeing that. Sorry. And then here's my star embellishment for the corners. It's really attractive. And then we have this in the triangles, and see what else. So here is the big snowflake. Let's get that and audition that. So here we have it. Now, again, sometimes your design is bigger than your paper. And in that case, then you just when it prints out in the software, it will be in 2 sections, and you'll just tape them. Well, you don't really tape them together. You just layer them together. You take one off and put the other one underneath of it, and it's ready to roll. But here, let's slide this over. And I'd probably start this up in this area and then have another one. But it's fun. So you'll notice that I have printed all of these in black thread. Well, that's because it doesn't mean I'm going to stitch it in black thread, but I'll show you. Here you can see I have this one snowflake printed in yellow, right? Like a gold thread. But boy, when you get it on white fabric, you don't really see that. So and you're not going to see it if you actually stitch it in that color. But when I am auditioning templates, specifically quilting templates, I always make the color black. And then that way I get a really great visual. What I do with the machine is totally different than what's in the file, right? That's your choice, as you know. Okay, so let's go over to the machine. I'm just going to remove some of these for now, and we'll work on that border. And before I do that, I'll just make sure there's no questions and see what we have. Okay. All righty. My sister-in-law, Kathy Colvin, says she needs sewing inspiration today. I don't know where she is, but well, I hope that you're inspired today. And you should start this table runner. It's so easy. It's just 1 star and a bunch of strips. That's all. I know you all have that holiday fabric at home. Okay, so on my machine, I already have my 8x12 magnetic, the bottom frame in place. So I'll bring over my table runner. I just want to make sure we get these templates off for now. Okay, and I have one design already stitched. So this is where the weightless, I just hit the camera, but this is where the weightless quilter would really come in handy, wouldn't it? The weightless quilter tabletop. I would have the back of the table runner attached and lifted up behind the machine. I didn't have the foresight to do that today. But if I was at home, I definitely would do it because it would be all set up. This room here is used in a different configuration every week. So we don't always have all of our very own equipment out on in the studio. So I'm just placing that top frame in place, and I'm checking to see, I have a seam right here. So it's not exactly at the 0. It's just a little to the right of the 0. Then I'm going to look behind the hoop and see where it is. And boy, it is just about there. I'm just going to lift that back a little bit and move it over about 1/8 of an inch. That's all it really needs. And then I know that I have a nice straight line. Of course, I have my template in place, right? So I have some techniques, some tools here on the machine. I'm on that beautiful Solaris, and I can get the projector. Well, I think what I'll do first is I like to use the navigation keys to move my needle to the center of that template. There we go. And I lower my presser foot and move so I can see that needle is going to be right on there. Another thing I like to do at this point is I leave the navigation key and then I go into the trace feature, and I'm not going to travel all the way around the design. I just want to go north, center north, and I want to see that this line on the template stays in the center of the foot. That's what I'm looking for. Perfect. Look at that. And if you're doubting yourself, go ahead and do the other. Oh, look, I'm a little crooked on the bottom. So I could just lift that and slide that fabric over a little bit. Now, it's the border, so I'm at the edge, right? I don't have any top fabric there. Okay, we could do that one more time, see how we are. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, we'll go back in the center. Now, I was connecting to another design, right? So let's, this machine has that projector. So let's go ahead and check that out. Love that thing. But as great as it is, I still use my templates, to be honest with you, just because they're so precise. So I'm going to move my projection area up to where it's going to connect with that previously stitched line. And boy, it is perfect. And you know what else is perfect? The image from the projector is perfectly aligned with my template. I mean, it is just spot on. It's great. So I'm going to peel this off and I can see my image. So I know it's going to be just perfect. I got a little bit of loose fabric there. Okay. So we'll go, okay. Isn't that wonderful? We'll lower the presser foot and stitch. And it's, yep, connected right to it. I love it. Or maybe it's away 1/8 of an inch. It's all right. It's a table runner. Somebody's going to spill gravy on it. I'm not going to worry about it, right? So maybe I shouldn't have made it white. Okay, let's see. Oh, Clara, you use black thread too when you are auditioning designs. Yeah, you really have to. You really have to. So Sandra Martinez, you want to know, would I stitch the snowflakes on the fabric in a light color thread? I would. I'm going to stitch them in white. I just like that green Christmas lights on the outside border. So I think that would be really nice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And let's see. And Clara, I'm not so sure what a pool in 06 is. So if you could clarify exactly what that is, we could help you out. Not sure what that is. And let's see. Catherine wants to know, is there a way to snap a straight line with the artwork pen? Yes, if you hold down the shift key when you have the line tool selected, you will just get a straight line and it'll be north, south, or diagonal, whatever direction you're going in. That's all. Mm-hmm. Never heard of it. Okay, so okay, yeah. So isn't that? And let's see. We could take this underneath the camera so you can see just if I was right on it or if I was off. And let's see. Okay. It is, that's my connection, I'm pretty sure. I can get my template, put it back into positions just so that you know exactly where it is. Let's see. Okay. All right, so let's see. So here we have, okay, so this is what I just stitched, and that's the connection. So man, that is spot on, right? That is really spot on. Oh gosh. It's right at the center of the table runner. Isn't that great? So whoever is at the center of the table in that seat of honor is going to be so impressed. Most of the people at my table really don't care about the quilting. They want the food, right? Isn't that what it's like at your table also? Okay, so isn't that fun though? The quilting designs that you select is what really brings your quilt to life. And that's what, it's that final touch that you put on all those great projects that you make. The time you spend piecing or appliquing, it's just awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, Clara, I'm not familiar with that machine. So I imagine, so we definitely don't make a hoop for that machine because we're not familiar with that machine. We'll do a little research and see if it's something that we should look into. So thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. We appreciate it. Well, I hope that you enjoyed today's program, and I look forward to seeing you next week. We do have some fun things coming up, and as you are thinking about your holiday projects, keep in mind it's the theme, the scale and density, and the fabric that tells you what kind of designs to select for your quilt projects. Next week, we'll be back at 1 o'clock next Thursday. We're looking forward to it for another episode of Between Friends. And then Ashley Jones will be here on, I can't read that because it's, bear with me. Goodness, let's see. It's December 17th. She'll be doing her software success on Tuesday. So I hope that you'll join her. Now, if you want to know when we're going live, well, it's pretty easy to find out. All you have to do is like us on Facebook or follow us on, let's see. Yes, like us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, and then you'll be notified as to when the next program is, and you won't want to miss it. We do have a cute little Christmas ornament as an on-the-house design for you, but we want to share what you've been stitching. And so when you get these designs, please, share them on social media using these hashtags, Dime Sew Along, Dime hashtag on the house, and hashtag exquisite thread, so that we can find them. So let's take a look at what you've been stitching. Oh, those ugly sweaters. They're great. We love seeing what you're doing. That is just great. Now, let's see. Laura had a question before we show you the next design. She wanted to know, do you ever pull the bobbin thread to the top and tie it off? Or do you just let the machine knot at the start and the end? I do just let the machine knot at the start and the end. Many people take the time to pull the bobbin thread to the top, but if I'm doing over 10 hoopings, I'm definitely not going to do it every one. So I just don't bother to do it at all. But it's a personal choice, and it sure looks beautiful if you take the time to do that. Okay, so let's see. All of those free designs are available on our embroidery projects page. So I hope you'll take advantage of that. They're going to only be there through the end of the end of the year. So take advantage of it. This week's design is this applique design. It's a freestanding applique. We did it on ginger felt, to make it look like a gingerbread house, and it's a real cutie. There's instructions on there on how to hoop the top fabric and add the backing fabric and a little hanging ribbon in between, so that you can use this on a Christmas tree. So I hope that you will take advantage of that, and I really do appreciate that you joined me today, and I'm looking forward to being back here with you next week. In the meantime, take advantage of our today's special, which is the Print and Stick Target template paper. And for now, I'll say so long. Take care.